Hey, great day, everyone. Happy Friday. It is the last Friday, I believe, in April. And so, really excited to be on today. We will be talking about me sharing some nuggets around how I launched my very first membership site, making thousands of dollars with low pressure. Without hustling harder, without making all of these extra hours in my business. And so, this is also a topic in terms of digital products that the YouTube and Instagram community has definitely asked for. And so I decided to go ahead and go live today. And so let's go ahead and get started. Treat this as your mini little workshop on Friday. And I'm just super juiced. Now, if you are watching it on Instagram, you're feel free to follow along. If you want a bigger screen, you can definitely head over to YouTube. Just go to Dr. TK on YouTube and click live and hop on over here, but I can see comments in both areas. And so really excited to go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to be sharing are the behind the scenes details of how I launched my very first membership site. And that was fun, but I learned a lot. So I am going to be sharing with you, I don't want to say the good, the bad, and the ugly, but I will be sharing with you the things that I learned and the challenges that I ran into as it relates to launching the digital product. And so first things first is you want to define, why are you launching the product to begin with? And so I chose to pay attention to what people were asking me about on, at that time, Instagram and Facebook. I wanted to pick a low pressure offer that I could provide to a larger group of individuals because I had already had a very intimate one-on-one coaching program helping therapists build out their private practice. And then shortly after I was doing that for a few years behind the scenes, I then moved into the space of doing it more as a cohort. But that was only for private practice. And I still to this day do not mix digital product world and learning over there with private practice because it's totally two different systems. Okay. So when I sat down, and this is a tip for you, you want to clearly define who is your targeted audience. What problem can you solve for that targeted audience? Meaning, what are they looking for in terms of a solution? And then lastly is, how are you going to deliver it in a way where they will actually get the transformation? And so I knew that therapists still to this day very much thrive off of community. And so I wanted to have monthly live calls, low pressure, because I don't want them to feel like they got to show up every single week like clinical supervision. And then I also wanted a low pressure community, which was then considered Telegram at the time. And it still is Telegram. And so that was how I started. Okay. Now, the next phase that I went through in terms of like building this up is that I wanted to focus their attention on exposure first without overwhelming the people in the membership with like buy now vibes, right? So the first thing I did is I went on social media and I started sharing how I learned how to launch digital products. And so I didn't give away all of my intellectual property, but I gave people enough information to show that I had receipts, that I was really good at what I did. And because I'm a very thorough teacher, I always made room for people to ask questions. I am very reachable to this day in my DM. But the whole goal of that program was that I also had to keep in mind that the audience that I was choosing to serve, they are already giving to people. They are already inundated with the depletion of energy, probably for the day, especially if they are not seeing all of their ideal clients. And even with that, it's still a taxing job that we have as what we chose, mental health providers. And so I was like, okay, instead of us just diving into all of these digital products or even expansion services, why don't I have the membership to simply just expose them to what's possible? So every month when we met, I shared with them either a different type of product, what it can do for them, what it looks like, what are the systems that are involved in launching it, at least from my experience and other people that I've been in circles with. And then if clearly I had launched it, then I would give more detail. They can ask more questions. And then on some months, we just outright talked about systems because let's be real, if you want to have money, in your bank account when you wake up, you either have to hire a person or you got to hire a system. Okay. So you got to create these systems so that they can work for you. But the biggest thing for me was to do it low pressure or no pressure, which is every month we're going to talk about what's possible. And people loved that because it wasn't like, I got to build a product right now. So then the next phase was I started meeting people exactly where they were. This is really important. So you want to know not just who your ideal client is, but where they are. So I knew that most of my audience were overworked providers, therapists, social worker, healers in the mental health space. And I know that they're Googling what are my options, or they're more interested in conversations that are beyond the couch, beyond the one-on-one services. So you really want to know what are the things that are keeping them up at night? What are the things that they are typing into Google? So after I brainstormed that, then I launched the program, and I'll talk about that. But I decided, you know what, let me add in a bonus so that it can be super juicy once they get in, because it's not about over delivering where I'm burning myself out. It is showing them that if they choose to just do a one and done, I'm going to get in for 1 month and get out. These are some of the things that you're going to miss. And if I'm giving you this as an extra bonus, could you imagine what's going to happen in the future monthly workshops? So I added a bonus. This is also real key. I chose a bonus that was based on what they were already asking me for in real live time content, specifically on Instagram. So at that time, I was very heavy in stories because stories had just came out back then. And I was highlighting me teaching at community colleges, at 4 universities. So I took people literally on my day before Reels was a thing. And people were like, gosh, like every month you're either going to events, because that was real heavy back then outside of like now virtual events. I was real big with connection, collaboration. When Reels, or I guess Live first came out, I was going live with not therapists, with just other entrepreneurs. And then also I was taking people behind the scenes of like, this is my launch board. These are my, goals that I choose to share in public. I'm tracking, my signups. Oh my God, I'm so happy. And I was celebrating. I was taking people to get, 5-star restaurant dinners with me. Like, yo, my launch did good, because you should celebrate every step. Okay. So then the next thing that I, want to recap here is I made the experience for the consumers mind blowing, like I said, by giving them the bonus with no additional cost. And I also wanted to make sure that I gave them something that they could actually use right now, not just fluff that will just help them think more. Okay. So when I launched the program, it is considered a beta launch. And so really quickly, you don't have to be a provider to be able to follow through these launch phases. The 4 phases of a launch is the pre-launch. That's when you tell people that something might be coming. And then the pre-launch, I might be putting you on a wait list, or maybe I'm having you sign up for a bootcamp or a webinar. Maybe I tell you what day my program is going to open, my mentorship is going to open. I may have you fill out an application, but I'm getting you revved up, and I'm putting more clearly valuable content in front of you so that you can get warmed up to me. And this is the area where I see entrepreneurs missing the buck. You show up, you spend time in the background putting together a product, and then you show up and you say, no one showed up. Not a lot of people bought. No one bought. I don't understand why. This program is good, yada, 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 right? But you're forgetting that in this day and age, in 2025, it can on average take someone who does not know you, y'all, 15 to 17 times to buy from you. And we're talking about a $20 product, right? We're not even talking about if you got a premium product, for all that matters, right? And you also want to remember where you're choosing to put your content. I suggest that you put your content on a short form content feed and a long form content feed. So for example, as of right now, I'm going live on Instagram and on YouTube, but on Instagram, I have plenty of reels talking about, as a service provider, don't you want to earn more than 10K? What about that 20K? You know what I'm saying? And I've been getting a lot of good feedback, DMs, messages from my clients saying, yo, you really stopped me in your tracks when you said 20K, because typically in our field, people talk about 10K months, hit my first 6 figures. But I'm like, let's just go ahead and skip to stage 3. And let's talk about the number that you're dreaming about that you don't want to say out loud. So so you have the pre-launch, the pre-launch, and then you have the actual launch. And then you have the debriefing, which is you review how your launch did. And that should tell you what you should do next time. So people are missing step 1, step 2. They're jumping into the game doing step 3, and then they jump over and do step 4. If that is you and you're watching live, put a 1 in the comment box. If you have ever done that, be honest. I'll raise my hand and say I did it plenty of times before I sat down and recognized that I didn't even know that there were launch phases to begin with. Now, this was years ago. By the time I launched this program, I had been through multiple online courses, masterminds, email marketing, and I knew how to launch. Now it was time for me to get out of my own way. So a beta launch, the purpose of it, before I scale it, before I put it on automation, before I click and say automated webinar, just watch this video and I'm not there. I want to make sure that the information that I'm providing is digestible and you can implement something and you can get a mini win. So somebody right now may have received a mini win right now because they're like, I don't even know if there was 4 launch phases. And so now you're looking up, what are the 4 launch phases? Does she have any other videos on the 4 launch phases? Oh my God, email marketing. What is email marketing, right? So a beta launch is you get a small group of people compared to maybe your bigger goal. And I would say for someone who's interested in building out a coaching program, anything that's going to require you to give somebody maybe a bigger transformation for a bigger investment, then you want to give them a sneak peek. But even a lower tier membership, let's just say if the membership is under $97, mine was. It started off at 22, then it went up to 49. So to me, according to my other products, it's very much low tier because my other products are $3,000 up to $18,000. Okay. So I wanted to make sure that I can test out my content to the person that was receiving it. So I beta launched it, and beta launch required me to low pressure show up live. Now, I do want to say that I actually clearly, based off this video, I like to show up live. I like the energy that people get in my DM or my comment section on YouTube and tell me what did they get out of the workshop, the masterclass, or the pre-recorded video. But I like going live, especially when I don't know what you are looking for. Okay. So I got real-time feedback and I avoided what's called create and hope mistake. Create and hope mistake is you've never launched a digital product. I'm gonna go ahead and speak to specifically providers. I want you to remember that you should not be comparing 1000% that I can give you what I would have given you in therapy. First of all, that might be unethical, into a digital product, and you're not there. The reason why we know that's not true is that, first of all, you ain't even going that deep because they can't, you can't handle a crisis in an ebook. You feel me? But also, they don't have you to bounce their processes out on and with. And so stop thinking, first of all, that you want to just simply add a stream of income to supplement therapy services. Now, you can still solve a problem, but it's not going to be the same as individual therapy. And remember, the general public does not see therapists as offering digital products, which also means that you want to create content around why that digital product is good for your audience. Let's just say before they sought out treatment, maybe you have an ebook on how to use mental health medical insurance to find the right provider. What if you have an ebook? If you're real good with insurance, you can make an ebook on how to understand your deductibles and what questions to ask for a carve out for mental health. That's a simple $7 ebook. It don't have to be all therapeutic because you really want to be careful about that fine line. But getting into the create and hope mistake, don't make the mistake of locking yourself in a room or in an office, creating a whole online course portal, and then you're upset that nobody bought. You didn't even test it. Now, I know that we have a level of expertise that we worked hard for, right? And we know how to deliver to people in services, clinical, face-to-face, one-on-one, groups, in-person workshops, support groups. But that is very different than someone watching a video and doing an activity and not having access to you. Okay. So if you don't want to make those mistakes, test out your content on real people and then turn around and pre-record the material, implementing the feedback that they gave you. Okay. So let's see. did that one twice. All right. Oh, you know what? So I know what was supposed to be there. So when I first launched, I actually within the first 3 weeks, I launched it and got 50 people. Now that's a lot. 50 people. And I had a super dope, what's called founding members entry level. So founding members for a membership is it is the way you define it, right? So for us, they had the word founding members next to their name when we had a call, right? They were grandfathered in. This was the biggest flex. They got grandfathered into, as long as they stay active, into the rate that they came in. So they knew that the rate would go up after 60 days. And then again, it went up 6 months later, right? So they were grandfathered in as long as they stayed active. Within the first 30 days before I had the first call, I had 54 people that registered. So that was a super big win. Now, how did I do that? I was showing up on social media a lot. I wasn't doing one post a week saying I don't have time. During this time, I had a full therapeutic caseload in person, no online back then. This was before the little situation in 2020 happened. So I was literally running a 9 to 5 and I had a 5 to 9. The 5 to 9 was my other coaching programs that were already working and utilizing my time. But I wanted to start leveraging my time. So I started off with the digital product membership program. Now, you do want to know about a term called attrition. So sometimes memberships look very attractive, but what some people don't realize is that first you want to define, do you have open enrollment or closed enrollment? Open enrollment is it's open all the time, which means that you have to market to it all the time. If you're running Facebook ads, you have to know how to run Facebook ads, and you have to know how to monitor them, or you're throwing away your money. Okay. If you have a closed membership or enrollment period, that means that you physically have launches. You may say at the top of every quarter, I'll launch it. Once a year, I'll launch it. Whatever you choose to do. But while it's closed, you still should be maintaining the clientele. Okay. You should be maintaining the clientele. So it's called attrition. So after I showed up, did the regular call and the bonus, they have the right to request to cancel. Okay. So we have 4 people that decided not to move forward. Now we do ask them why they chose to cancel. No one actually cancel. No one actually said, oh, I wasn't getting anything out of the membership. The 4 people actually said something to the effect of, actually, I don't think I'm ready because my first stream of income ain't ready. And that's okay. And that's why I choose, even to today, a lot of my lower tier that I've had memberships over time and different types of digital products, a lot of my stuff is more entry level so that you can get your foot wet a little bit, maybe even just a big toe. And you can decide if this is something that you truly want to do, because I don't think it would be a good idea to like pay thousands of dollars and you don't even know that there are 4 launch phases, let alone what work it takes to do it, which is why you want to go to someone's webinar, live event. You want to watch their videos. You want to get warmed up, but you don't also, and please hear me, you do not also want to get in the little hamster wheel of just consuming information and never doing the thing to invest in yourself to implement the information. A lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in, honestly, listening to me talk just like this and doing nothing. And then you watch me again. And then you watch me again. And what tends to happen is you realize how much time has passed and you like, I played myself. Because I could have just even committed to 1 hour a week and I may have ran slower, but at least it's still progress, right? Remember, done is better than perfect. Okay. So don't like lock yourself up in a room to do any of this. Implement. Okay. After I launched it, I clearly started building within the community. This is really important. An audience that learned how to clearly trust me. Right. So over time, because they started to evolve their mindset with what streams of income they wanted to have, they then started to say, well, I saw that you have this coaching program. Can I have a coaching program? You have digital ebooks. Can I create digital ebooks? And the answer is yes. It's just a matter of how committed are you to the process? Because now what they were really requesting is for either they can go into my one-on-one coaching, or at that time, I was also creating what is now called the Elite Therapist Mastermind, and they can go into a container for almost up to a year. It included live events. It includes one-on-one coaching. It includes training vaults. But this is for the people who are ready to implement. So for those who don't know, but you've been around for a while, this is how a lot of our Beyond DTA programs evolved, is because I listened to my clientele. I'm just not about to create a product just because I think that y'all need it. Absolutely not. Okay. So here are the challenges, because, everybody can look at the first half of this, video and say, oh my gosh, I want it. But I don't want to play y'all. Okay. I'm not gatekeeping. I'm about to tell you some of the things that I learned, right? So Valen said, good point about being patient and staying the course with staying in front of your population. Talk to them. Your people will tell you what they want. Okay. So here are the challenges. I believe, this is my opinion, if you don't choose to slow down and do a beta launch, you may risk launching to no one, to crickets. And the problem is, you will know the results of you got none or lower than what you anticipated, but you don't know why. You literally don't know why. Like, you can't ask anybody, right? Because people just saw your information and they left. So when you do a beta launch, even for an ebook, now clearly you got to put out the ebook for that, but remember, it's a digital download. So a beta launch for an ebook would be, you sell it for 30 days. You ask people to review it. You check if they're opening up maybe a sequence of emails that you're sending them. You see if people are DMing you. You actually ask for feedback. And then after you sit on it, you get the feedback, you review it, then you can just simply go and update the ebook that you created. Now, if it is same content, but just elevated and you don't add a volume 2, this is what I tell my clients all the time. They're like, I don't know if I want to put it out yet because it's not to the perfection level that they have in their mind. And I'm like, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? You update the ebook. All you got to do is email everybody who already have it and say, hey, I'm gifting you the newer version. Who gonna email you back and say they don't want the newer version? Nobody. Okay. So you can still do a beta launch even with ebooks, but specifically with things that require people to be there, you want to get feedback every single call by them commenting in the comment box, because you're recording the call. You can have them fill out a survey. Okay. So do a beta launch. The next challenge or thing that I learned is, if you don't build exposure and a belief in yourself first that what you're producing will be effective over time, then people actually won't even see the need for your product because you don't believe in your product. That's something that I learned very early on from one of my first mastermind coaches. And they were like, listen, if you fall out of love with your product, so will the people who are watching you. If you get tired of your product, everybody's getting tired of it too. If you are talking negativity about your product, everybody else is too. You need to show up like you are the baddest, whatever your title is, right, of your product or service. Like, I walked around for years and I still believe it, but I don't even feel like I need to say it anymore. I am the #1 therapist business coach, period, point blank. I don't gatekeep. I share with you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I share with you what I've lost. I share with you what I've gained. It ain't nothing to me, but that's who I am. And I'm not trying to be like nobody else. Okay. So another challenge that I faced is trying to sell something that might be too advanced at first. I recognize would have lost them. So of course, all these ideas are popping up to my head, but I had to slow down and realize, listen, girl, you done been through 8-figure masterminds, meaning my coaches are making 8 figures. They have a whole nother level of hustle, you know what I'm saying, in them. And you also have been doing this for a while, and you just didn't come out the gates popping. You didn't come out the gates with your launches making money. I had plenty of flopped launches, plenty, okay, over the last 10 years, okay? And I don't mind sharing it because it's nothing to me, because a failed launch or a flop launch ain't really flopped because it's telling me something. So I realized that based off where I knew my audience was, because they were talking to me on social media, I realized with all these ideas that I had in my head, it's not the right time. And that's when I also started separating different levels of programs after the membership. So for example, this is what it used to look like. Somebody would come in and see or hear my content. I had a podcast, or I still have one, an audio podcast. I really wasn't on YouTube a lot, but I was here. I was on Instagram and Facebook more. Okay. So that was like my free stuff. And then I had like email marketing where you can opt in and I can give you a checklist. But here's the thing. My checklist was strategic. I just didn't throw out a damn checklist. My checklist was directly correlated with what product I thought I may want to offer. And then based on people opting in And then people opening up my emails and staying on my emails, I was like, oh, they're actually interested in this topic. So very similar to what social media tells you. What do they tell you with the algorithm? If one of your posts does well, keep doing it until the wheels fall off. People will tell you when they're no longer interested and then you change it. But look at your analytics. And so I had my free content. Then people went into my lower tier, to the membership. Then what a lot of people realize in the membership as providers is like, oh man, I really want to do stream 1 that she talked about in January, stream 3 that she talked about in March, but my private practice ain't in order. So where's that DTA program? So DTA was next. Then at that time, it was VIP experiences, which now we pretty much only have them once a year. And then there was the mastermind. Now, all of these, I'm building out like an ascension model, a triangle, like levels. All of these levels were built from my clients telling me what they wanted next, right? So you want to take some time to just focus on one thing at a time and know where your audience is, meaning meet them where they are. Also, something that I had to recognize was needing to respect that monthly memberships always have some attrition rates. So I'm going to tell y'all why I chose to close it. I always have a reason as to why I close memberships, and I've had 4. And they typically are surrounding people's desire to want to attend, but I can't meet the needs of every single person that's in a membership with time zone differences and my schedule. Some people may have it in their mind that if they don't show up live, then it's not worth it because they don't want to watch the replay. And nowadays we have like audio podcasts. Some people may show up to groups that we have and may not talk. And I can only do so much with trying to pull you in, you know. I can call on you, but I mean, if you don't have anything to report or you don't want to share, then I can't really make a grown person talk. But with this particular program, literally out of the 54, then 50, then we added more every month. By the 9th month, get this, y'all, statistics, but it just showed how powerful my ascension model was, my product suite, because I realized that I didn't do anything wrong. I actually, on accident, did everything right. I help people see that if you want that second stream, your first stream needs to be popping. So what ended up happening is there were 4 people left in the program, 4 that were active by the 9th month. And you may be thinking, well, dang, does that mean your program sucked? No, they were actually active and they upgraded into our private practice academy at that time. The only reason the 4 people did not join, and I remember them, 2 of them were not licensed and they had a minute, like a year or so to collect their hours. The other person realized they don't want to put in the work for a digital product. And the other person was, for a lack of a better word, in a state of fear that if they started, they don't know if they wanted to finish. And I remember it because I ran the numbers and I looked at who's in the program. We reached out to them and we figured out where they were. And we ended up choosing as a team to shut down the membership. They were able to get whatever resources they needed from whatever they had access to, because most of them that were left were there for 9 months. But what I also realized is that some of the people who were still active, but also in DTA, they were feeling torn because they were trying to work on 2 streams of income at the same time. And like I said, a digital product processes is very different than a private practice processes. Okay. So again, just recognizing that when you have a membership, your goal is to maintain the current members and also add active members, but attrition, losing people, is normal. Okay. Also, something that I recognize is having to, with a membership, you got to show up with month to month value without burning myself out. So as I've had different memberships over the last 5 years or 6 years now, I've recognized that I am in a season in my life where I want people to thrive off of leverage time, just like I value it myself. And so if I start noticing, even when we shut down enrollment, if membership is starting to show up as I am engaging in the community, trying to ask you, where can I support you? And there are crickets. If I am emailing the community saying register for the call and there is a lack of registration. If I'm checking the online training vault and there is no traction, but people are telling me I'm in there, but honestly, this is the main one, I want to consume this information. I've consumed some of it, but to be honest, I have just realized time and time again, I bit off too much that I can chew. And I'm talking about providers. I have just recognized that for me, it is easier, low pressure, to provide this special niched audience based off other things that I got going on with products that they can do self-paced on their own versus saying this is part of the program, you got to show up live or you should show up live, because what goes on in our head is that we feel like we're missing out on something and therefore we don't join or we cancel, right? So I've just recognized that with lower tier products, I will just choose to add all my value in an ebook, in a bundle, in an audio podcast, and you can consume it as you see fit. So here are my aha moments. When I ran that particular membership, one live call a month could literally change someone's whole business mindset, because we talked more about mindset than even strategy sometimes. Okay. So one live call a month was enough. Something I always share is sometimes you don't think you're giving enough, when in actuality, you're giving too much. Your goal is not to overwhelm people by giving them 5,000 downloads. This is actually something that I heard from Myron Golden, so I'm gonna give him credit. I'm gonna paraphrase it because I don't remember exactly how he said it, but he had gave the example when he was talking to someone else in a collaboration podcast. They had talked about, like, would you rather pay, let's just say $50 a month, and you have to wait months and months and months to accumulate all of the information you need to learn with, let's just say, 100 downloads, but $50 a month? Or would you rather pay $5,000, you get one download, you get it one time, and it's everything to solve your problem? Now, if you are directly looking at this as, oh, I'm just going to take the $50, you have an employee mindset. You have a lack mindset. You are literally just looking at how much it costs. You're not looking at what is the ROI on the back end. Because if I also told you, well, you can pay $50, and at the end of you getting all this stuff over the next 18 months with all these downloads, if you implement what I told you to do in the order that I told you to do it, and if you ask me for feedback, if you have access, you're going to be able to generate at least 10,000, at least, right? But your product got to be good. Okay. Now over here, you buy it one time, you get it all up front today, and you pay, let's just say 5,000, but I tell you that your ROI is going to double at least 2 times over as soon as you buy it and you implement. See, what I'm talking about is time. Do you choose the lower level stuff because you're just looking at it as how much it costs? Now, unless you're testing something out, I prefer in this season for my abundant mindset to choose something that I can benefit from and get my ROI back a lot sooner. And I only want one damn download. I don't want 50,000. Okay. So that's something that you want to consider when you feel the need that you need to give all this stuff in a digital product. Some other aha moments is that small product offers can actually lead to a higher ticketed buyer later. That is key. Don't sweat yourself when you feel like I got to start off premium. If your mindset ain't premium, don't offer premium, because it's going to show up. Okay. Also, something you want to consider is building trust is the bridge between someone saying, I'm curious, and someone saying, I'm ready to buy. When someone meets you, they may be curious. Over time, as they get to know, like, and trust you, they may be more ready to buy. Okay. The next aha moment is what I did is I created space through retreats for myself, rest and time for creativity that helps me create better products. So it wasn't me just being on the hamster wheel to create products over and over again. It was me actually, thank you, Samara. It was me actually looking at what are my products actually doing for people and how can I make it better? Do y'all know how many products I got in Canva right now? Like, how many landing pages? I'm gonna be putting together landing pages because I have a thought, I have an idea. And the way that my brain works is that I need to actually experiment and act like I'm about to put it out. And then I sleep on it. And then when I wake up the next morning, if I don't want to do it, I just go and delete it or I archive it. Like, it's not a big deal for me, but I'd rather go through the process as though I'm offering something to see how I feel, based on me sitting in a state of ideation saying, well, I wonder what's going to happen. Right. So create space to debrief and to be creative. Okay. So as I wrap up, what I chose to do in this season, because I can see that providers are at a capacity situation, is that instead of saying, yeah, go join a membership with me, and all those things, right? Until you're ready to meet with me and connect with me in one of our mentorship or coaching programs, and you know exactly what type of service you want to do, whether it's private practice, expansion in clinical services like supervision, support groups, speaking, workshops, training, which is our DTA plat, or maybe higher level coaching for coaching programs, consulting on another level, and also group practice. If you're not sure where you land, you know what I'm saying, then you may just be stuck with ideas. So I created a bundle where I took multiple smaller products and I combined them into one, because I find that people are buying individual things and then they come back and get the second thing, then the third thing. And I'm like, okay, let's not do the 100 downloads. Let's just give you all of them at the same time. So you can go and get what's called our product expansion bundle. Okay. So our product expansion bundle is going to have 4 different downloads. Okay. So if you're on Instagram, you can just DM me the word bundle. You can click the link in my show notes. If you're on YouTube, you can just click the link in the description box. What it's going to include is the 60 digital product ideas on a clinical track for mental health providers. So if you're looking for clinical ways that you could expand your expertise, you're going to get that. I also specifically made one for providers, but it says social workers, but you can use it if you're a therapist, LCSW, marriage and family therapist, psychologist. And what I go into in that ebook is more expansion services like, have you thought about consulting? Have you thought about workshops and trainings? Okay. So I also tell you what's possible with those streams. It's just not going to list out 60 streams, 22 streams. It's going to give you some information behind the stream. Okay. So you can have something to think about to move out of ideation and then say, okay, I think I want to try it. Okay. So then this is the kicker. I end up adding in an ebook that I created last summer. I took it off sale, and then we had a membership for this. So then I put it back now that the membership is no longer available. So I thought to myself, a lot of people don't know the stages of a launch and they don't know what it looks like. Okay. And I don't want you to sit down and have to, I mean, you can, but somebody may not want to sit down and watch like all of my YouTube videos, right? Because I'm going to give a different example for each video. So I put in a launch execution guide in this bundle, all the steps of a launch, what it looks like, what to consider. And then I give you a lot of brainstorming space to brainstorm your idea. Now, one thing I would highly suggest is do not start that book or that guide until you choose the stream. Now, what's going to happen is at some point, depending on your stream, you may need support. If that is the case, DM me and just simply ask like, hey, this is what I want to launch. This is what I want to relaunch. Do you have any programs that pertain to this stream of income? Y'all, that's all y'all got to do. I promise you, I will probably leave you a voice note. We will probably have a whole full-fledged conversation. I am not afraid to talk to y'all in the DM, but y'all can't be afraid to talk to me. Okay. So you get that. Now, the 4th bonus is our abundant vacation guide. So I pride myself on taking vacation. Your girl love Disney. We announced to the kids, we taking them to Alani in New York this year. New York, though, is a business event. Alani is a CEO retreat event, because every event that I do got something to do with me being refreshed from my business. But the abundant vacation guide, whether you are a group practice owner, private practice owner, any type of business owner, you have to take time out to retreat for yourself. And so I give you what's called standard operating procedures, SOPs, things, and scripts, SOPs to do to prepare yourself for vacation. Now, if you are in DTA, we are actually having a call on Monday, and we are actually going to talk about how to prepare your practice for the summer months, also known as the slow months. But for those of you who are not in that program, or you just outright want the guide along with everything else, you will get those 4 guides for the very low investment of whatever you see on that enrollment page. And the reason why I'm not going to say what it is right now is because I can guarantee you it's not going to be that investment all the time. And I'm very, very giving. Let's just say this. You are going to get 4 guides for the fraction of 1. Okay. And how can I do that? Because I'm not in it. That should be a tip for you. The reason why I can discount that, but I'm not discounting my coaching services, is that one of them I actually have to show up for. The other one, I poured myself into it. It's yours to keep. Go through it at your pace. So let me go over to the chat box. Valen said, yes, space to breathe and be creative. I just got better with keeping my ideas in one place. Get a journal. Get one thread. create a chat GPT thread, but copy and paste it in your Google Doc because you don't want to lose it. But I really hope that y'all have learned something as it relates to me sharing the ins and outs of me launching a membership, challenges that I ran into, aha moments that I ran into. I would love to continue to do these videos. All you have to do, y'all, is either get in my DM or specifically on YouTube, comment on the bottom of these videos and say, man, this was good. Can you specifically talk about the experience that you had launching this type of product? Because I find that I actually give you way more information when I can share an experience because I'm more emotionally connected with it and I can tell you exactly what happened. And it doesn't mean that that will happen to you or for you or against you, you know, but at least you can hear from someone's personal experience what the up and up can look like, but also what a lot of people don't share is maybe the setbacks, what I call learning. They're not mistakes, but that you're learning experiences. Okay. And so if you are new to the YouTube channel and you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe because I find that 75% of people who watch my videos never subscribe, but y'all sure do come back though. And so subscribe to the channel. We have a variety on actually all of my platforms. I do educational content, but I'm doing something that might be against the algorithm, you know, to a degree, but I do post lifestyle stuff because I believe that you should be connected to what's on the other side of you working in your business and on your business, not just here's the 5 steps to this. All of that stuff is nice, but let's be real, that also can become overwhelming. And I want you to be excited to work on and in your business. So that's why I share, you know, we go to Disney and family vlogs and things like that. And it's also a family vault for our kids so that they can one day come on here and say, wow, my mom did X, Y, and Z for business, but she also had a life. Hello, what a great message to send your kids. Okay. So I will talk to y'all soon. Get that bundle and you all have a great rest of your day. DM me your questions if you have any after this goes out live. All right. Bye.